Hello everyone. Well, today it's the 16th of January 2022. So today we're going to do part 2 of my Arachnotour video. But before I begin, I just wanted to show you my last Old World species. I just picked this one up on Friday, as I mentioned in the last video. So, new edition, new Poke. One of my all-time favorites, Poecilotheria P.subfusca Lowland, which is the Ivory Lowland Ornamental, 4-inch female. And I got this one from Terrestrials, Canada. Very impressive, and as many of you already know that watch my channel, Poecilotheria species Lowland is by far my favorite one because of the nice black, gold, and brown patterns. Very unique species. Okay, so now I showed you about 21 Old World species. So I've calculated my collection. I did go down quite a bit, so now I'm at a total of 96. So that means that the rest of the 75 tarantulas I have to show you are all the New World species. So these are the species that are going to be strictly from the North America, Central America, and South America. So most of these species are relatively good for the first time or intermediate keeper. There are some species in the New World genus that I'll mention that aren't really suitable for beginners. So I'll kind of will touch up on that video that I did back many years ago. So all of these species except for some of the arboreals, which are the Euathlus, which I don't have, a Salmon Pink, which I have, they all have urticating hair, so this makes them slightly less venomous than the Old World species, and by far some of them are going to be less defensive. So anyways, grab a bag of popcorn, your favorite drink, and I'm going to start in no particular order. Okay guys, so these 5 here, with exception to this particular one, is my collection of Grammostola porteri, which is the common rosehair tarantula. So back, I would say, what, good 15-20 years ago, up to about like 2017-18, you can readily find these tarantulas available at the pet store. Now that Chile has closed their imports, you can no longer find them in pet stores. So these guys are limited to tarantula dealers. So back then they were quite affordable. They were about like 20-30 bucks at a pet store. I know back 24 years ago I started off my collection with the common rose hair. Then I kind of worked my way up to Brachypelmas, Euathlus, then eventually I worked up my way to my first Poke. Okay, so anyways, here we go. We'll start off with all my 4 females. Okay, so we'll start off with, Talia. She's doing quite well. She is one of my rose hairs that I had for quite a number of years. I would say a good 14 years now. No, wait. 2008, 2022. Yeah, 14 years. Yeah. So, very long-lived species. Definitely recommended for a first-time hobbyist. The only thing I really don't like about them is that these guys are kind of iffy. Some of these guys have been known to be defensive. That's typical for these Grammostolas. They're kind of moody. And also what's really scares new time first owners is that the fact that these guys can fast up to about a year. So just because your rose hair won't eat doesn't mean that it is sick or anything. That's just typical rose hair behavior. So there we go. That's Talia. Okay, next one up is Angelica, I believe. There's another common porteri. Here's my third one. Adult female, around 4.5, 5 inches. This one freshly molted, so you can see that the colors pop. Here's another female. I got this guy from my pal Eichmann 2006. Also 14 years ago. She's a lot older than that because I had her as an adult back then. And this is the last one. This is about a 2-inch sling. You can see the colors aren't really popping yet, at least on the carapace. But very, very slow grower, but they live long. Hey Lois, where are you going? Anyways, this one right here, this is the true Grammostola rosea. This is the Chilean Fire Red. Anyway, so this one here, this is the true Grammostola rosea. This is the red face rose hair. Very similar to the common rose hair, except this one has a much more reddish color all over their bodies. So again, typical temperament of these guys. They're very moody. They will sometimes feed and sometimes they'll just ignore it. Very similar, very cool. This is Lois, my female. Okay, this particular specimen's around 2 inches. Hopefully it's a Grammostola pulchra, the Brazilian black. Now, in recent news, that there is a controversy with a particular species known as Grammostola chiroke, which is called the Uruguayan black. And what they're saying is that a lot of the Grammostola pulchras in the hobby have actually been misidentified, so it can actually be a chiroke. So I'm going to have to wait to see what this specimen looks like as it ages. So right now it's brown. Obviously it's in need of a molt, and I can't really tell the colors, but from what I've seen in pictures, is that the chiroke, that's spelled Qiroqai, has whitish hairs on the patella and all the rest of the legs. So I'm going to have to look at this specimen closely to see if this is a real pulchra or chiroke. Otherwise, it makes no difference for me. Still a really cool species, and as you can see in its abdomen, it's a really hungry species. Alright, this is my last Grammostola I'm going to share with you. This is a Grammostola species maule or species conception, which is the orange Fluff. As you can see, very bright orange. When a rose hair red phase molts, it's actually going to be a lot more reddish than this. Typical Grammostola temperament, moody, but she is a very good eater. Okay, this spider is brand new to my collection. It's the first time I featured it on camera. First time I ever owned it before. You're looking at, I would say, a good 2.5 inch unsexed Aphonopelma hentzi, which is known as the Oklahoma brown. Definitely not mature yet. Hopefully it's a female. So temperament and feeding wise is exactly like a Grammostola. They're very moody, and some of these Aphonopelmas also have been known to fast. So there we go. That's the hentzi. Okay, this one here, Aphonopelma chalcodes, the desert blonde. This one here is a sex female that I've owned since 2018. So a little juvie female. This next one here is also a female. Yeah, she's under there. I got this one from my friend Sarah. Doing well. And there's my little tiny sling that I got from E-Man almost 10 years ago. It's still very slow growing, but starting to become a little bit larger. I would say now it's about 1.5 inches compared to a 1/2 inch back that long. So yeah, it's very slow growing and especially long-lived species. So that's all the chalcodes I have, 3 of them. So I got this one that's unsexed and 2 sexed females. Okay, next one here is an Aphonopelma seemanni, which is the Costa Rican zebra. This is the blue morph. A 4.5 inch female. These guys are relatively good eaters, but at the same time very skittish. So it's good for a first time owner, but just have to watch the speed on them. Alright, so I think everyone has seen this particular specimen in my collection, still alive and doing well. This is the Aphonopelma vorihesi, which is known as the Madrean Red Rump. In my opinion, I've owning quite a few Aphonopelmas. This one has to be the most defensive. This one readily will go in a threat posture if you prod it enough. So yeah, so this one here is about 2.5 inches, and you'll probably see if I just touch her. I'm just going to touch her very gently. Yeah, see there? Yeah, that's typically what happens if you open up the vorihesi tank. So anyway, little bad girl, but she does well. Alright, this one here is an Aphonopelma anax, which is called a Texas tan. And I don't really see why it's that color. It could be a Brachypelma species, but when I bought the species, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it was sold to me like that. It has molted once, but a good eater, and this one is pretty docile in nature. I don't really see many hair kicking. Definitely not as defensive as that vorihesi. Yeah, it kind of looks like a Brachypelma, but I'm going to wait to see for the molt. Maybe that will tell me. Alright, so that's all the Aphonopelma that I have. Alright, to celebrate the holidays, this little female, actually quite a large female at that. Come on. Show your face in front of the camera. Don't be shy. There we go. This is Victoria II. As you can see, very nice, fresh Thrixopelma ockerti, which is the giant Peru Flame Rump. As you can see, with the temperament of these guys, are pretty skittish, known hair flickers, and they love to raise their abdomen at you. But again, I love the colors on these species with their green carapace and red abdomen. Very festive for Christmas spider, for sure. Alright, this little girl, very, very cute and docile. In my opinion, not that you should handle, but this is arguably the best handling spider that you can come across in the hobby. This was formerly known as Euathlus species red. Now it's called Homeoemma chillensis, which is the Chilean Red Rump or Fire Rump. Very calm species. They do not get very big. They get as an adult maybe 2.5 inches. So she is close to about an adult size for her. I mean, this is ridiculously easy to keep. They're really great feeders, and for a specimen this size, you would feed them crickets. So she's just literally in a 2-liter shoebox enclosure with a water dish, a hide, and more enough for her. Really cool. Up next is a female Davus pentaloris, formerly Cyclosternum fasciatum, which is the Costa Rican tiger rump. This is about a 3.5-inch female. Named this one Stella. Very nervous in temperament, but really good eater. Okay, this guy here is a confirmed male Homeoemma sazame, which is commonly called the blue Brazilian beauty. Not the dwarf one, because that's the Oligosteri diamantinensis, which is commonly, like I like to call, the dwarf green bottle blue. Very nice color, blue coloration with a red abdomen. So this is my male. I'm going to show you the female, which I'm going to be rehousing momentarily. At least not for now, but there we go. You can see a little bit bigger than the male, which I want because I don't want the male maturing faster than her. So hopefully he might be a future boyfriend. But anyways, if that's the case where the male matures, I actually have a larger female. This one I got from one of the good stores in Montreal called Magazoo. This arguably was the very first place where I got my first Brachypelma homori. Back then it was known as Brachypelma smithi, yellowback ornamental. So this one here, it's a good 4 inches, and this one kind of molted recently, but when it's a freshly molted specimen, you can see the blue coloration and red abdomen. Great eaters and pretty friendly too. And that's it for the sazame. I only have 3 of them. Okay, so I have 2 slings here, both from the Euathlus genus. So the one over here is the Euathlus camperstratus, which is the pink zebra beauty. A very nice specimen. It gets up to having a 4.5-inch leg span. I got this one from Tarantula Canada, and arguably back when I started YouTube in 2007, I began to record videos of my former E. camperstratus, Yasmin. Unfortunately, she passed away quite a few years ago. So now I have another one. And this one here is the Euathlus wagenbergi, which is the white collared. They get slightly smaller than the camperstratus, so these get up to having a 5-inch leg span. This one gets up to having a 3-inch. Very good eaters and quite friendly, at least for the wagenbergi. A definitely famous tarantula for the tarantula enthusiast. Definitely recommend you getting these guys. This one here is a gorgeous specimen of the green bottle blue tarantula. This is the Chromatopelma cyanopubescens. You can see this is a freshly molted specimen. Very blue legs, green carapace with an orange abdomen. And I got another one, a little bit bigger. This one is not as fresh, but still both of these are confirmed females. And heavy webbers. Temperament of these guys are pretty skittish. They're not very defensive, maybe slightly. So I wouldn't handle them anyways because they can actually bolt. And if you do drop one from like, let's say a height of a stairs, at least for a specimen this fat, it will likely be almost fatal. So there we go, green bottle blue. Driving Miss Daisy here. This one here is my female salmon pink bird eater. This is the Lasiodora parahybana. Definitely recommend it for maybe your second or third tarantula. Very easy to keep, very cheap, because egg sacs of these guys are literally in the thousands. And they get up to a big size, like around 8 to 10 inches is very common for these ones. So Daisy needs the molts. As you can see, her colors aren't fresh, but definitely don't want to get bitten by her because she has an enormous fangs. So she is probably around a good, I would say, 5 inches. She's probably going to grow maybe 2 or 3 more inches and that'll be it. She's huge. Alright, this one right here is a 4.5 inch female, Zenithus species blue, the Colombian blue bloom bird eater, 4.5 inch female. Very strong eater, but slightly defensive and quite a bit of a hair kicker if disturbed. So these guys get up to about 7 to 8 inches. You can probably make out, if I don't know if the camera is making out correctly, but you do see some blue tinge on their patella, aka their knees, and that's how they got the common name. Quite a rare and expensive tarantula. The most common one that you can get is the Amanus, which is the Colombian lesser black, which I do not have one in my collection. This is the only Zenithus I have. Next one up are some of my arboreals. So I keep Avicularia, the South American pinktoe. So this is one little female. Of course, very docile, very cute, little small one. Then we go on to a slightly bigger one, just freshly molted. You can see why it's called the pinktoe, because they have pink feet. This is another little female. I would say this one's around the 3 inch mark. Very cool. Alright, here's another one. This is a 5 inch female that I got off Tarantula Chani. It's a pretty big avic, but not so big compared to this one here. So I made a post on my Facebook page, but this was a spider that I got off the Etsy store from the user Lifelike Spider Art. You can see it captures the essence of the pinktoe rather well, with the pink feet and the blackish color. Really cool. So those are my collection of Avicularia pinktoe. Alright, here's another rather shy pinktoe. I'm just going to push her up so you can see her in her full glory. She's absolutely gorgeous. This is a 5 to 5.5 inch mature female, Carabina versicolor, which is the Antilles Pinktoe. It's like quite a rare pinktoe here in Canada, a little bit more common in the US, but a lot more harder to find as females. I got this guy from my good friend Mark, whom I got that Davus pentaloris, and as well as that huge Nandu tripepi, which you may see this video or the next one. So there we go. Caribbean versicolor, Antilles Pinktoe. Alright, I'm going to do a little feeding of this one because she's not too happy at the moment. So anyway, you're looking at a mature female, Salmopeus cambridgei, which is the Trinidad Chevron. This is about close to 6.5, 7 inches, so adult female. There you can see the Trinidad Chevron's patterns. Yeah, very large female. Got this from Tarantula, Canada. Okay, so these are all the arboreals left I have to show you. I just have nothing beyond Avicularia and Salmopeus cambridgei. In the near future, I'm going to get a new Erminia and try to find a P. pulchra. Anyways, here you're looking at a Nandu Colorado Volosus. This is the Brazilian black and white. As adult size, they get up to about 6 inches. So what you're looking here is roughly 2.5 inch suspect male. Now, Nandus are slightly defensive and they love to kick hair. And especially with the N tripepi that you're going to see in just a few seconds, they have the worst urticating hair. I actually react badly to them. I break out in hives every time I touch, or actually every time I open up the cage, I breathe in their hair and it's just really, really bad. So that is that small male, and when he matures, he is going to be bred with this larger female that I got from Gregory Lemoyne. You can see one of my favorites of the Nandus, second largest of the genus. Like I said, it gets out to having a, I would say, roughly 6 to 7 inch leg span. The Nandu tripepi, which is one you're going to see in just a few, actually gets up to 8 inches. Perfect. Wow, she's very nice. Yes, nice indeed. So you're looking at a 4.5, almost 5 inch female Nandu chromatus, which is the white striped bird eater, or they like to call it Brazilian red, Brazilian zebra, yada yada yada. I'm not into common names very much because that doesn't really describe 100% of the spider. But like all Nandus, the chromatus is no different. They're a superb eater. This is arguably the most pretty one of the genus. So I'm just going to, yeah, she's nervous, but you can see that she's very colorful. She actually molted likely 3 weeks ago. So she's pretty fresh and a superb eater. I got this one from Tarantula Chani, doing extremely well. And the size of these guys are around 6 to 7 inches. Okay, this one here is an unsexed Nandu carapoensis, which I believe to be the Brazilian red. Now, because it's such a small size, we don't really see too much of their adult colors. They're supposed to be blackish with some prominent red hairs. Superb eater and very hair flicky. Alright, now for the monstrosity. This specimen, I'm going to show you the smallest of the two that I have. This one here is an unsexed Nandu tripepi, which is the giant blonde bird eater. It was formerly called Nandu vulpinus. Oh, Okay, so that's good. As you can see from this bald spot, it's actually black, which is a good sign that this tea is going to be molting quite soon. But one that did have is my huge female, which is arguably my second largest tarantula that I have in my collection. Behold, guys, Fiona. This is the biggest Nhandu Valpinis that I've owned on my YouTube channel. And there's possibly bigger species out there. Well, specimens out there. But here we go. She's close to around 7.5, 8 inches. So this is arguably the largest of the Nhandu species. Oh, there we go. She's definitely probably not the most prettiest in color. That honor goes to the Nhandu chromatus, but it's still a very beautiful specimen in its own right. As you can see, if I put my hand in there, that's how big she is. She is humongous. So I actually saved the molt, so that way I can make a video on her. So this is her molt. So if you want to appreciate the size of the specimen, that's my iPhone 11. She is just about the size of it, lengthwise. So how do I tell if it's a mature male or mature female? Well, at that size it's known to out female, but for those of you who are wondering how to sex tarantulas, I always sex them by molt, because when you sex by molt, it's almost 100% guaranteed if you know what you're looking for. So it's kind of very hard because the specimen is dried up a little bit, but let me try to zoom in with my camera so you can actually see where I'm starting to explain. Give me a sec. Okay. Anyway, so when you look at the molt, you always have to look at the abdomen part. So if you're able to see in between the book lungs, you have the upper part and the lower part. Right smack in the middle, you will see a sac. So this is the spermathecae. So this is where the female holds sperm from the male, and this is likely where it produces the eggs. So if you see that, then you know that you have 100% confirmed female. And if you look ventrally, you should see a little slit between the top pair and the bottom pair. That's how you know it's female. If it was male, then the spermathecae, that sperm sac I showed you, would not exist. You wouldn't see this slit, and the book lungs would be a little bit closer apart together. And of course, if it was a mature male at this size, then he would sport tibial hooks on the first pair of legs, and the pedipalps, which are the feelers, would be bulbous. So it's very rare that a mature male will molt. I actually have that on camera. I recorded it quite a few years ago. My first chromatus was a mature male. Unfortunately, he tried to molt, but of course with the tibial hooks, it kind of got stuck, and unfortunately he passed away. So there we go. This is the Nhandu tripepi, the giant blonde bird eater. Okay, so I'm going to finish off with the last Eudorus, and then I'm just going to end off this vid, and we're going to make a final conclusion, part 3. Alright, so the next 4, and this will be the last 4 of part 2, are the rest of my Lasiodora genus. So I have one Kluge to show you. Unfortunately, Lucille passed away in necroth. That was my male. I have 2 Difficillus and 1 Stratopes. So here we go. So let's start off with the Bahia Gray Bird Eater. This is a Lasiodora Stratopes. So not much different compared to the Lasiodora right now. I got this one 1.5 inches for $20 at Tangle & Webs. I got this one at the expo quite a few years ago. I'm really bummed out that we don't have many reptile expos because of COVID. It canceled like 2 years ago, and we didn't have any ones since. Because now, especially with the Omicron virus spreading like crazy. So this guy here, I say guy because I ventral sexed it. It's a suspect male. He's around 2.5, nearly 3 inches. Okay. This one here is a Lasiodora difficilis, which is commonly called the Brazilian fire red bird eater. So a little small one, unsexed. But I can probably sex it eventually if I wanted to. This one here is a suspect female. Difficilis. You can easily tell that it's a difficilis because of the prominent white hairs and reddish hairs on the abdomen, but not as big as Kluge, as you'll see in a bit. Yeah, she's about 3 inches. I say it's a suspect female. Really strong eater, definitely, like I said, for the Parahaibana. Definitely recommended for at least your second or third tee. Like the Parabana, they're kind of semi-defensive in nature, so I wouldn't handle them, especially when they're adult, because they do have really big fangs that can actually do some mechanical damage if you were to get bitten by them. Not potent at all. Well, they are potent, but nowhere near as strong as, for example, Ceragopithecus livis, the cobalt blue. But definitely a nice tarantula to own. Hopefully when we get an import, hopefully next spring, I'm going to see if I can try to get like an Edibuni or the Fracta I used to have many years ago. And the last but certainly not least tea, I'm going to show you. Here we go. This is my largest tea. This is Marissa. I brought this one to my school, and my colleagues were absolutely enthralled by her. I'm just going to push her so you can see her. Ooh, okay, you're hungry. Sorry, baby. There we go. You're looking at here quite a mean-tempered, but she's not really mean, she's just really hungry. Lasiodora klugi, which is the Bahia scarlet bird eater. Very prominent way to tell it's a klugi by its prominent red hairs on the abdomen. Otherwise, Lasiodora parahabana are going to get this big. And I think the only difference is that the parabana is going to have more pinkish hairs. But as you can see, when I initially prodded her, she went for the paintbrush, so this is probably likely the reason. If you want to handle Lasiodora, you got to watch out for them, because that's what they'll do. They'll likely bite first before they ask questions later. Alright guys, so that's it for part 2 of the video. So the video is actually going to go up on Monday, the 17th of January. So I'm just letting my camera battery charge, and I'm likely going to finish recording on Monday. We're supposed to have a big snowstorm, around 25 to 35 centimeters. That's around 10 to 13, 14 inches. So luckily our school has closed for the day, both physically and virtually. So I'll likely record sometime in the afternoon, early afternoon, so that way you can see them and whatnot. Alright guys, so don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe. Don't forget to comment on which one was the favorite of the tarantulas you've seen so far. And I'm going to conclude with most of my Brachypelmas and most of the tarantulas on this shelf, and few on this shelf. So just give you a sneak peek of what I have as Brachypelmas, since I really wanted to show it the best for last. Well, should I? Nah, you'll see. You'll find out. Alright guys, so take care, thanks for watching, and stay tuned.